Hi, my name is Kate, and I'm from Trizons Global. We're an agency that believes amazing things are possible in digital commerce when you look up. So today I'm lucky enough to be joined by Mitt. Mitt has a wealth of experience in the product world. He's worked on both the customer and the product side. And I thought it would be worth catching up with Mitt today so he could share some of his thoughts around how you select the right product for the right time for your customer, the business impact, and some of the key considerations when you're selecting product. So, first of all, Mitt, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background?
Absolutely. So like Kate said, my name is Mitt. It's short for Mitul. I have, for a large part of my career, worked in online e-commerce for brands like M&S and ASOS over here, but also spent 7 years in Australia, away from e-commerce with online betting and William Hill, but then back into e-commerce with women's online fashion brand Showpo. Spent a bit of time in online cashback and performance marketing, and recently moved back from sunny Sydney to rainy London, and joined New Look as their digital product GM. So at the moment, I my role is twofold, so playing coach, mentor to product managers, but also on the other side is helping New Look on its journey. Digital transformation journey.
Yeah, and we're very lucky to have you with that wealth of knowledge. I guess I'm going to hit you straight up with the first question, which is what are some of the key considerations when you're selecting a product? And I'd like you to focus first on the customer and how you select the right product for your customer.
Um, I might take it a step further up, because I think before we even get to the customer or the product, I think it's really important to understand the business, the direction it's headed in,
Mm.
um, where it wants to be in, say, 3 years or 5 years. Like, where does it want to play? Like, what does it want to be known for? Like, I think it's really important to understand these things to help product teams focus on going after the right problems or opportunities that will move the product forward in a way that meets those goals.
Yeah.
Um, and like you take the business strategy, say that's the business strategy. You've then got to play a key role in translating that into a product strategy, right? And giving your teams clear guidance on what areas they need to focus on to help bridge the gap in the product. And so what I like to do is give my teams really clear goals and outcomes, super clear missions that are directly tied to that product strategy and that product strategy tied to the business strategy. From there, it's not about giving them directives. This is what you need to work on. It's about really empowering them to dig into the data and turning that data or signals into insights to uncover the right problems and opportunities to tackle. Um, Now, I've worked in companies where it works both ways, where it's top down. Um, but the difference I see when you give or empower product teams to find the right things to go after and to create their own destiny,
Mm.
um, there's more sense of ownership in their work, and there's greater motivation that comes from that.
Yeah.
Um, Now, when we talk about data, it's also very, very important to strike the right balance between quant and qual,
Yeah.
because they complement each other. Quant data is great, like great for identifying patterns, trends, areas to focus on, but it doesn't always tell you the why. Um, and the qual really does give you that deeper human insight into the behaviors, their needs, and their pain points.
I guess, do you find that there's often that they're completely at odds with each other, I suppose? And how do you tackle that situation when your quant is telling you one thing, but your qual is telling you another?
Yeah, yeah. That's a great challenge. Like there's a recent example where on a search results page,
Mhm.
customers were not using facet filters. So if we just went on quants alone, we'd maybe reduce those facets or maybe realize we're not showing the right facets. But
Mhm.
then digging into the why, the customers were telling us that they didn't trust. the facets or that they'd miss out on certain products if they started using those facets.
Mm,
So you've taken two bits of data, quant and qual, and you've turned that kind of into an insight and a hypothesis
mm,
to then for the teams to take away and go and look at, right, how do I solve this problem?
mm,
So always use both. Another great example, you might notice a drop-off point somewhere in the conversion funnel,
mm,
and your data is telling you that, but it's only speaking to customers or conducting potential usability tests that you're going to find out actually what is actually driving that. So quant and qual together will help you validate the hypotheses and prioritize the right problems and opportunities to go after.
mm.
Um, and I think once you've defined that space, it's really then about, right, how do I ideate to find the right product to solve that problem?
Mm. And how often do you find that it is a product solution, right? As opposed to, maybe making some CX changes, as opposed to, well, actually, we do need a product to come in here and sort of multitask. So talk me through that decision-making process, I suppose.
Um, so this is all part of problem definition, right? So you're trying to understand through the quant and qual, actually, what is it that's not working or what's causing the friction points for your customers. But when we talk about whether it's just a UX change or it's a brand new feature or product, that's all part of the ideation. And so we'll come to that, I think, later on in the talk. But when you're looking at a problem or opportunity, there's two key questions, and I don't think they are always considered. Um, by solving that problem or going after that opportunity space, what customer value are you driving? But
Yeah.
also balancing that with what business value are you driving? And I find, and I've spoken to a lot of people in the past where both of those things aren't in consideration.
Yeah.
And and so for me, what I put forward is almost this the law of scales, right? There's the business value on one side, the customer value on the other side. And it's sitting on this little pyramid to success, pyramid to UX or customer success.
Hmm.
And right at the bottom of that is nailing the basics. So
Yeah.
when a customer comes to your site or your mobile app, can they do the most foundational things they expect to be able to do flawlessly? So
Mm,
like, can they come onto your product display page? Can they select the size they want? Even though they're going through a thinking process about what sizes they might need to buy to find the right one,
mm.
can they select a size and add it to their basket?
Yeah.
Get that right, you nailed it. Second part of that pyramid is, right, how can I elevate that experience to remove some of that thinking, remove that cognitive load so that you're doing the thinking for them?
Yeah.
So, like, you could have a size calculator, or you could be recommending a size based on previous purchases.
Mhm.
Now, one, you're taking that thinking away, but two, you're probably also solving another problem in returns, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then kind of the last part of that pyramid right at the top is right, how do you innovate? How do you take that elevated experience? What's the next thing? Is it something to do with VR? Are you allowing them to try products on virtually? Is it something to do with AI?
Mm.
How do you change the way people behave with a certain part of that customer journey? But it's always good to remember actually what was innovation then soon becomes the foundation and the basic, and then
Yeah.
you start again.
Expectation versus beyond, right?
Absolutely.
And that always changes. So I guess we've spoken about you've got to nail your basics first at the bottom to then elevate that slightly to then look outside the box and do what other people aren't doing, but feels intuitive to your customer at the same time. And I suppose it's that qual and quant data to see the way that they interact with things currently and what might be innovative, but at the same time, it's seamless and intuitive. Does that,
Exactly.
yeah?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
talk me through the other side, which is, the business on one side of the scales and the customer on the other. So we've said, what happens when qual and quant is at odds with each other? How do you build the case around, when the business or the customer are at odds? So say, for example, it's a really expensive tool, but you can see the space for it. How do you build that?
It's almost like it's your kind of your second and third order effects. It's like what are your upstream or downstream impacts for the change you're willing to make to solve this problem?
Mm,
So you're kind of almost looking at it at four different ways, right? So is your product um, usable? Is it
mm,
going to drive the value for the customer? Is it feasible to buid that product? Um, and then the other risk that you probably look at is the viability. So
mm,
what's the additional cost you're taking onto the business to bring on this new feature, or are you actually reducing cost? So you've got to take into consideration those four different risks. And so kind of when you go into your ideation, and you start looking at the problem space and you've got a diverse group of people together from around the business where you're brainstorming potential solutions,
mm,
um, you've got to consider these risks. And as you take, say, from the brainstorm 20 ideas, how are you whittling down to the two or three things that you think is going to resonate and going to solve the problem? And so um, when you're brainstorming ideas in your ideation workshops, um, you've got to remember actually no idea is a bad idea at this point.
mm.
You take as many ideas as you can get and then you whittle down. And it's actually looking at it from that perspective. So driving value, is it going to drive the value? Is it viable? And is it feasible to deliver? So taking into consideration all of these things, you then probably whittle down to maybe three or four ideas.
Mm.
And you probably ask me, right, how do you then decide which one you want to go
Yeah.
ahead and deliver? Experimentation, experimentation, experimentation. So, an experimentation doesn't have to be an A/B test. It could be prototypes, it could be pilot launches, it could be
User
uh,
testing with
user
those
testing.
prototypes.
Exactly, exactly. So, experiment in a way that makes sense for the product you're trying to deliver.
Mm.
Find the solution that drives the outcomes that you're hoping for. And you've got to remember when you're delivering a product, yes, it's a success to a certain extent if a customer uses that feature, it solves a problem for them, but you've got to make sure you continuously link that back to commercial value for the business.
Yeah, it's got to drive an uplift. It's got to drive a business benefit as well as benefiting the customer, right? Because you know that,
Exactly.
even, for example, right, you might implement a new tool or feature that customers start to use, but you're not going to see that immediate benefit, right? It's going to take time for those results to trickle through.
Exactly. And part of that is also what a lot of people forget is product marketing. So if you're launching new products and features, have you considered how you're going to onboard customers onto that product or feature? Remember, you've got to give it every possible chance of success.
Mm.
Um, so whether it's a little pop-up to say, hey, we've got a new feature on the mobile app, or whether it's an animation, you've got to remember you've got to teach the customers that this exists.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're significantly reducing the chance of delivering success through that product or feature.
Yeah, 100%. Education should be at the top of it, right? Unless it's something that feels like it's, for example, you're talking about facets, right? And product facets, and that would be a natural part of the journey already. And I'd say, where do you draw the line, right? Where does education become a really important factor when onboarding a new feature or a new tool or that sort of thing?
I think um, I think it's on a case by case basis, right? Like, are you introducing something completely new that you've innovated? It's a game changer.
Yeah.
In which case, yes, customers are going to need to be onboarded, educated uh, as to what it is, what it's solving for them, why they should use it.
Mm.
Um, Whereas if it's something that is, like we spoke earlier on, it's a foundational thing, it's an expectation,
Yeah.
um, they will know what it means where they see it. So it's finding the right balance between what you're delivering and where the customer is in their, I guess, digital journey. And so you could also potentially, right, target the customers that you think might need that onboarding, whereas certain customers actually won't, and it might just be a distraction.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. So, success. How do we know? We've spoken about, implementing something, waiting for the results, testing it. How do you know if something is a success?
Go back to the question, right? Go back to the problem you're trying to solve. Are you seeing the signals or behaviors or a change in behaviors from your customers um, to show you that that product or feature has actually solved
Mm.
the problem you set out? Like, is our customers using the feature? And when they're using that feature, are they delivering or is it delivering commercial value? So, like, can you say that adding that feature more customers through that funnel?
Yeah.
Are they more likely to convert? So like it's looking at the data, but also we spoke about it earlier, right? It's finding that balance. So taking the quant, um, but also talking to customers, looking at feedback from potentially customer care. Are there other feedback loops that you have in place to tell you how that feature or product is doing?
And I suppose as well, when you're going through the problem solving phase with the different silos across the business and you're doing your brainstorming and trying to come up with those, you have those end goals or KPIs in mind already, right? You know the problem, you're
Absolutely.
trying to get to a number or some sort of really like finite, this is what we want to do.
Absolutely. So we spoke earlier on about giving each of the teams clear missions, clear goals, clear outcomes. Remember, at this point, we've not told them what problems or opportunities to go after. And
Mm.
so when they're thinking about, right, these are the goals, these are the outcomes I need to drive, what do I need to do, or what problems exist that are stopping me from driving these outcomes? And so, yes, there might be product level success measures, but ultimately it needs to drive the outcomes for that team's mission, right? So everything links back. And then when you link back to that team mission and link back to the product strategy, it should then also have a direct impact on the business strategy. And so it's like a bit of a tree, and it all ladders up um, to show that success.
Yeah. So, Matt, final question. Your top tips, your biggest tips for anyone who's, looking to go on the journey of either, starting to refine or add to their tech stack, start to look at the customer experience and the impact that product has on that. What is your top tip?
Um, I'll keep them short,
Hmm.
and I'll keep it to three because whenever you give more than three, people always forget.
True.
Um, so right at the start, you've got to define your problem clearly. Make sure you know uh, what the problem is and you have a clear understanding of the problem. And you know all the symptoms leading to that problem as well, right? Identifying the key pain points, the desired outcomes, and actually how will that product meet your business and customer needs. So define your problem clearly. That's top tip one. Number two, um, don't dive straight in, right? Test and validate solutions early. Remember, at this stage, it's about reducing the risk of the bets you're wanting to take. So test, validate, and find the right solution. And don't just take the one solution that comes to mind. Test a few different solutions before you get to the right one.
Yeah.
And then my third tip is, and we see this day in, day out, right? You deliver something and that's it, it's done. But that's not where it's done. You've got to iterate and optimize. So product success is a journey, right? It's not a destination. So making sure you're constantly reviewing data, insights, and finding ways or opportunities to improve that product or feature. So don't stand still. Um, People evolve, thinking evolves, and so should your products.
Yeah, and have a level of skepticism as well.
Exactly.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Matt. Your insights have been invaluable today. If anyone would like to get in touch with Mitt, we'll make sure we tag him on this video for you. So feel free to reach out with any questions. But thank you so much, Mitt.
Thanks for having me, Kate.